He's recording us right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're live. We're live. Hi, world.
You're going to get rid of that part, right?
Hi, Mason County.
All right, here we go. Are you ready? Yeah. Wow. That's pretty impressive. Welcome, everybody. This is our 5th Tuesday, March 31st meeting up here in Belfair. We have one on the 5th Tuesdays. We'll begin with our Pledge of Allegiance, which we have a flag right there. And Erica, would you please? No? I understand. Let's see. Kevin Dayton, would you mind leading us today?
I would love to. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, everybody, welcome. We're going to go ahead and open this up with our open forum for citizens' input. We ask that you speak briefly if there's some issues that you'd like to discuss that you know that are not on the agenda. At those times, we'll give you time for more questions and the like. So if you have anything you'd like to discuss or bring up, this is the perfect time for it. So please raise your hand and be recognized.
I noticed that behind Bill Hunter Park, the property that's for sale, I noticed the for sale signs went down about a week ago, 10 days ago. Is there any news on that? Because I've been trying to urge, some company to pick that up, but I just wondered why both signs all this. First one I thought was vandalism, and I looked at the other side and it was gone too.
I know the county is not involved in anything with that, and if you like, I'll check after the meeting and see what there is going with it. But I know the first one was just down. I thought by when the other one was up, the other one may have come down the same way. So I'll find out afterwards if it's pending or not.
Good note for them.
Or the wind. The wind takes those down quite a bit. They're not the metal ones. Those are the plastic ones. I guess. Any other comments or issues anybody would like to discuss? Ken Van Busker.
I do, Commissioner. Ken Van Busker. I've been attending a couple of the updates on the comprehensive plan, Mason County comprehensive plan meetings, and it's been 10 years since the comp plan was updated, but it's been more than that since the Belfair sub-area plan was adopted. And I've mentioned to the Planning Commission that it'd be nice to consider looking at reestablishing some sort of advisory group for the Belfair sub-area, not the full-blown 27 panel members that we had last time, but just a small group that might be able to help as we go through this growing process. Thank you.
Thank you. Something I should probably point out, you may notice the microphones and the like. The county has entered into a contract with Mason Web TV, and all of our meetings are now aired live, first of all, and then they're also put on the web so that you can air them later as well. That's why all the microphones and all the doodads. So anything you're saying today will be kept forever. So be careful. Yes.
Greg Wygat, Clifton Ridge. First of all, I'd like to welcome all the state officials and the water district and the sewer advisory committee people here. It's too bad there isn't any citizenry to hear what you all have to say. That's an unfortunate situation. But my question is there anything the county can do governmentally other than sheriff or whatever in the property areas between, say, Rite Aid and coming up Clifton Ridge? There's approximately 75, 80 acres there owned by two entities. One is the water district, the other is I think Katie's family property. But there seems to be, and it's an unfortunate situation, but homeless folks living in the area. And we've had in our area, our homes, we've had several incidences in the past several months of pilferage, breakage, theft, whatever you want to call it. Is there anything that the county can do? I've talked to Ryan Sperling, and he's going to come up and talk to our next homeowner association meeting on what we as citizens can do other than, you know, point blank, bang, you're dead or something, you know, or run out there with a baseball bat or something and get ourselves hurt seriously. We're not all young ducks anymore. So I'm just wondering if there's anything the county can make a move to help clean up those areas that have, I don't know much of the homeless folks, I guess. It's unfortunate they're there, but we have them. And is there anything we can do?
I'm not sure what all we can do. I know that as citizens, we try to do things. For example, behind the park, when we all got together and did that cleanup. The one thing that happens, of course, though, is just like a balloon or anything else, you move it from one place, it has to go to another. It's the way it always works unless we can find a way to actually fix a homeless issue. I know that we have monies that come out to the state, to the counties in order to work with that, but obviously it's never enough, and there's always going to be some that are homeless here regardless of how much money you put out or what you do, because a lot of them are choosing to do that on purpose. And I know for a fact there's a lot of veterans out there that's how they're living their life, on purpose. They could be living elsewhere, and we have some people that reach out to them at times and try to bring them back in, but they haven't been able to. But I don't know what the county specifically can do for that area. Any ideas?
Well, beyond what we're already doing in our housing assistance monies, which I don't know if you know this, but when you do record a real estate transaction, there's a portion of your recording fee that goes to local homeless prevention programs. And so it's a drop in the bucket that's needed. And so we do what we can do. On the legal end, that would, of course, be the sheriff's call, whether or not there would be some sort of move right along fellows type, or people type of an activity. And that might be something that you could talk with Chief Sperling when you he does come talk to your homeowners association.
April 27th to speak to our, hopefully, a bigger crowd than we have here. Group.
Right. So I mean, it's a countywide issue if there's inadequate and not enough affordable housing. And so you take these things baby steps at a time. You're never going to solve the problem all at once. And so the issue of the fellows or the people that are illegally camped someplace is a law enforcement issue, obviously. So the rest of it is what we can do little bits at a time.
Yeah, well, let me comment just real quick. There's some things we're looking at in the legislature. I have a bill that makes it easier for property owners to sign their property as private property so that people don't trespass. Hopefully that'll get through. It got through the Senate. It's in the House, and hopefully that'll get through all the way to a governor's signature this year. I think we have to be realistic and know as well that Washington State has the highest burglary rate in the nation. That's scary. And part of it is hopefully being addressed by our criminal justice system, but it's very difficult to handle the volume of that we have, and our rate of burglary is very high in Mason County, mainly because of so many unoccupied homes. Lots of summer homes, lots of properties that are just visited on a weekend or the summer months or infrequently. So we have to try harder. I think your association, good idea to have the sheriff's office out to the association because you can find some strength in numbers.
Yes, please.
Four-legged. Is the gentleman who stand on the side of the street asking for donations still law enforcement, or is the county, what's the county position on that? It seems to be more and more gentlemen now standing on the corners requesting donations. And one just stepped in front of my car the other day, and it's very...
I don't believe we have any type of laws in this county against that at this point.
Well, I think they ran them out of the city of Bremerton. I think they're filtering somewhere else.
And that might be an option or something to look at. But at this time we haven't, but maybe we'll look into that and see what some of those options are. Yes.
Commissioner, I just wanted to mention along those lines, we had a brush theft and a trespass on our farm a year ago, over a year ago, and they're finally sentencing the folks this week. So it doesn't hurt to call the sheriff, because he came and got them, and luckily we got them before they got too much brush, but it doesn't hurt to call them.
Yeah, Kenny, we all go to bed at 8:30.
Well, the last several years, the last several years, this commission has added more deputies.
Yeah. And I will say this, Chief Ryan Spurgeon has indicated that the swing shift guy will do a couple drive-bys in our cul-de-sacs and things like that, which hopefully is just kind of a reminder if anyone is peeking out there, that someone is in the area looking back. We'll see what happens.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak at this time?
So, I've been asked by Commissioner Netherland to bring up the Belfair Sewer Finance Plan. First and foremost, thank you very much to the members of the Belfair Sewer Advisory Committee for your work. You guys have been hard at it for over a year now. Not on just a sewer financing plan, but I just can't thank you enough for your time. And so we had received your recommendations about a long-term financing plan. And then also Commissioner Netherland has spent a lot of time working on a plan, and we've had some hybridization of multiple ideas and plans. And we're coming very, very, very close to something that we want to be able to bring to you folks as a long-term plan to keep that system financially stable. We anticipate within the next couple of weeks to come to an agreement. And at that time, we would like to come back up here to Belfair and present that and ask for your input on all the elements of that plan. It won't be just a one silver bullet. There's many, many elements of it. And so just want to make you aware that we're darn close, and we do want to have everybody's input on this. I did speak with our press that are here about getting, how do we get this meeting as well as other meetings out to the public so that you folks know there's an opportunity to come speak. And so once we have that meeting scheduled, we'll touch all the leaders in the community that have the microphones, and we ask that you also get the word out and help us bring people to those meetings.
I'll make a comment, and there's no secret. I have not been on board totally with the plan that the other two commissioners are working on, but we're three different people and three different minds. And I have been working with the state auditor's office. Now, that's a little hard to do since the state auditor is nowhere to be found right now. I did call him the day that he went away for out of state, and the feds knocked on his door kind of hard there, and so it's a little difficult. And I did not speak to him personally, but I did speak to his staff. And what I'm advocating with the state auditor is, instead of a finding for Mason County, because we don't have a long-term financing plan for that in place yet, I'm suggesting that they issue a management letter, which is a much less significant. I think that would help us a lot. I think that we have to take a look at the system that we have and make sure it's the best system that we have before we expand it. I think we need more hookups. I think there's people that haven't hooked up to the system that should hook up to the system. I think that we have to enforce the delinquency rules that we have to make sure that everyone is participating before we get bigger. And then I also think that we should wait till the legislature has concluded. We as a commission have requested some things of the legislature. Randy has been down, Terry has been down, have testified at the legislature, have lobbied individuals, the Ways and Means Chair, the governor as well. I don't think we should take any action and approve any plan until the legislature has adjourned, because we don't know what they might do, if they can give us any help or not. So I think we got a little ways to go, and borrowing from the county, I think, involves a a treasurer that's very much on board with that, and I don't hear the treasurer saying she's on board with that idea yet. So I'd just like to take more time and make sure we explore all the possibilities, and as I say, that the system is running as well as we can, and we have as many hookups as we can before we go farther. Thank you.
And I sure hope that you are successful with the auditor. That would definitely help us in our credit ratings and everything else as well. One thing though to bear in mind, we're running $10 million backwards, and there's going to be things that have to be done. There's just no way around it. We can't ignore it. So there'll be more stuff coming. We'll just keep working and try to get this done as expeditiously as possible. Yes.
What possible help with the legislature? What's in the mix? What would they do to help us?
Well, there's a possibility, there's a sewer coalition that the county has joined with 21, I believe it's 21 cities, lobbying the legislature for some assistance for communities that have, like us, small populations and large systems. We just don't have the density, the critical mass to fund the system that we have yet. So there may be some loan forgiveness or some grant monies or renegotiations of loans. Our capital budget has not been released out of the Senate yet, but I don't want to take a step before I know that we didn't get any assistance in this legislative session. Well, what I'm looking at is appropriations, and that'll be a budget bill or a capital funding bill.
There's a special loan program and grant program for small municipalities, 25,000 or less, and the urban growth area of Belfair would qualify.
But the hope is going to be more for direct funding than it is anything else. In the past, most of these things will never fund for debt repayment, so that would have to be new. But one of the biggest things, we can't do the forgiveness of the loans and the refinance because those are federal monies, and those are already structured in a certain way where that can't be done. But they could give us a grant to pay it off if that was possible. You can always ask for money. Yes?
Just out of curiosity, follow on what Terry was saying, would the water district qualify for those type of things too? A small portion of the Belfair community, 535 people, are funding a couple $1 million worth of effort to move their water to help all the people that run the corridor. The water district doesn't need to move it. Excuse me, I just put a carload on.
Well, you make
The
a
water
good.
district doesn't really need, for their purposes,
You
to
make
change the water system.
You make a good point. You have a small population. We're doing all we can to keep the Hood Canal clean, to provide wastewater services. If you live in Edmonds or King County, you're hooked up to the Brightwater system with close to 1 million ratepayers. It's amazing how large. So they can make an improvement and affect their rate by 5 cents a month. By a big pump station. So that's not, my numbers aren't accurate, but that's the scale that we're dealing with here. So
Yeah, I was going to say, we're just signed on to that. We don't have control over this issue at all. We're just signed on, but the actual money, the pocket of money that it was scheduled to go into was originally water more than it was ever sewer. So it's that same funding source that already existed. We're looking to put it in for that.
Well, it just doesn't happen by chance. It takes a lot of work in Olympia and a lot of relationship building. But I just don't want us to agree to a plan for 25 years before the legislature adjourns. I think that's fair.
And just so you know, the one problem you'd have for Belfair is it's still not going to be a fix for the initial moment, because anytime, let's just say something like this thing passes, you still got to go through the process with everybody else and apply for the money just like everybody else and have it allocated out just like everybody else, or not. And it takes time. It takes probably a couple of years. Anything further on that? Is there anybody else who'd like to speak on any issues today? Hearing none, we will go ahead and we'll move right on into our State Highway 3 project update. Before I do, we'll be introducing Michelle Britton, but behind her is Kevin Dayton. He is the regional director, and I just want to point out he's been a very, very good help for Belfair, as has all his staff, and we've been very lucky to have him actively involved. I just want to point out, it's awful nice to have a department in Washington State that you can actually call, get them on the phone, talk to them, and they actually call you back and help you to fix your issues immediately. So I just want to acknowledge that you're here in the audience for people so they can ask you questions and beat you up later.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Michelle?
Hi, everybody. I believe Karen Boone has been to these meetings in the past. She was the design engineer, and we're quickly moving into a time when the construction office is going to take over, and my office will be doing the construction. So I'm here today instead of the design office, and wanted to give you an update. Our new ad date, we just had to delay our ad date to April 13th. We were supposed to go to ad originally March 31st, but we are still experiencing some utility issues. We have CenturyLink that's still relocating, and we'd split the contract into two parts so that we could work in the south half. And we've got a few little things left to move for the water district, but our big issue right now is CenturyLink line is still active, and that is where our drainage is. And it's very close. We're working very closely with them. They're trying to cut over to their new line. They've already put in their new line, but the old line is still active. We have to have that deactivated before we can go. So that is kind of where we're at. Now, as far as schedule, if we do go ahead and hit that April 13th, that date, we'll have a 4-week bid opening, and bids will open on May 13th. That's 4 weeks and 2 days. Usually, if the bids are favorable, it only takes like a couple days to award the project. And that would mean if we have, the minimum number of days the contractor has to fill out the paperwork, and they take their full amount of time to execute, we could be out there like July 1st or so. So so our contractor, so all know probably Tom Eden, he's going to be talking about the water district. They're still relocating in the north end, so that's between Romance Hill and McDonald's. They are actively going to be working on that pretty soon. Our contract is set up so that we will go into that south half between Sweetnut Water Creek and Romance Hill, and we'll start construction in there. We've got all of our retaining walls in that section, so any retaining wall that we have could be built probably in the day if they could do it with no lane closures to the roadway. We have one pond that's in that section, and a second pond that's right between the two locations, and those are offline work. But the rest of the stuff, the lanes and the sidewalk and the widening, would have to be done at night in order to keep traffic moving. I did bring the hours in case, because somebody always asks me that, and I want to make sure I get it right. Our lane closure hours are between 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. That means they can close a lane starting at 8 p.m. And those are identical to the water company's hours that they were 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. Now they're 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. We're getting a little too busy at night, and so we've moved those to try to keep traffic moving a little bit more. And we're going to keep watching those on our job to make sure they're the right hours for keeping everybody moving through the portal. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions that I can answer?
I do. Which section will the culvert be put in?
Which culvert we have?
The one at Romance Hill.
Okay, Romance Hill culvert physically is in the south half of the job, so the water company has already gotten past where we're gonna be putting in that culvert. Now, that's a four-sided structure, and usually it takes a little while to procure that kind of structure. It's pretty big, you know, it's a custom-made culvert. So I don't know, they may put it in this year and then build that stream. You know about the stream, right? They're going to be hooking up the stream to Mindy Creek right there
Oh, no,
for itself.
I didn't
We
know
haven't
there,
gotten to there yet.
I didn't know, okay.
So to the west of the highway,
Uh-huh.
from that culvert, there's going to be a stream realignment. They're going to go ahead and punch through a stream and hook up to Mindy Creek. So it'll be an actual stream.
Will that be an
So
open
there'll
creek?
actually be fish
And
that
it's
come in?
open, yes.
There'll be fish that come into it.
Yeah,
Okay.
most likely. I think that's the thought.
Gotcha.
Join all the other ones that are there.
But, you know, instead of the ditch, like they're doing now.
I was just curious when and it's going to be a fish passage culvert.
Right, but since there's no stream there now, if we open and they're out there July 1st, even though there's fish windows, they could start building that if they could get the culvert. They could start building it right away because it's not a protected area because there's nothing there now because we're realigning. It's just that when we hook up to Mindy Creek, when we take that stream and hook it up to Mindy Creek, we have to be within that fish window. So you could see a lot of activity there and then not be able to make the date to actually hook it up, and they might have to hook it up in 16.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Thank you.
Behind you?
On that same structure, I won't call it a culvert. I think it was called a bridge in the,
It's a four-sided structure.
yeah, is it still 12 foot wide? That's number one. And number two, you're saying four-sided. I thought a fish-bearing structure had to have the bottom open to the normal gravel.
Well, there's sometimes they have three-sided structures where they're on footings. Sometimes they have four-sided structures where they bury that fourth side. This is one where you're going to bury the fourth side. It's mostly full.
Because Sweetwater Creek, that's the problem you have, is that they didn't bury.
They didn't bury it, okay.
And it will be, like Herb asking, will it be 12 feet wide?
You know, I didn't look that up.
That's what the
The creek's
original
only
design
about this
called.
big. You know, I
That's
was
huge.
wondering.
It's big.
Yeah, about this big, yeah, under full flow.
It might not be 12, it might be more like 8 or 10, but it's at least 8.
Michelle, Michelle's worked on this for a long time, the design phase, and then come back. to it.
Right, I started it for like a couple months and
Right.
left.
Right. So, and I appreciate you being back because you have a lot of history in this. But that structure wasn't dictated, that wasn't DOT's idea. This is Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife.
Yeah, it's on their barrier list.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've heard rumors that there was like fish in the ditches, and that's probably part of why it's on their barrier list.
Yeah, I did a walkthrough with them.
That would be a rumor.
Fish in the ditches does not necessarily mean salmon. A
Right.
little sculpin is enough to classify as a fish-bearing stream. That's why they say by law they have to do this.
Okay.
Your predecessor tried real hard to have that not be on the, not put a culvert in there.
I know it was a very difficult design.
Yeah, and it was a lot of money, and she tried really hard, but she ran into tried, basically, from what I understood at the time, and that was, she didn't win that one. Fish, the tribes had Fish and Wildlife on behalf of the tribes at the time.
I got a comment and a question. I know it's controversial, this culvert stuff, and I'm fine with it either way. But when they built the Peninsula Credit Union, I had a fill site next to where Byerly's have their property, and company out of Shelton was doing the excavation, and they were cleaning out the ditch, which is the same ditch that you guys are moving. And honest to God, there was a cut road this big that was dumped out of a dump truck.
Wow.
So it was living in that ditch in the state right away, and it was just like it was just died. So it may surprise you. And my question is what is the engineer's estimate on widening project?
Right now, it's just under 10 million for the whole job,
Yeah, not including design and all this other stuff.
Not including design.
What the construction will be. What's the engineer's estimate when it's advertised? What are you expecting the bid to come in at?
somewhere between $8 and $12 million.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michelle.
Next, we will go ahead and move on to our state Route 3 water main replacement project. Speaking on behalf of Belfair Water,
My name is Tom Peden. I'm the general manager of Belfair Water District. And I have a handout for you to follow along with. This is just some bullet points. They'll come around. You know, I think Michelle, she kind of gave a little bit of a briefing on what the water district is going to be doing. What we've done is we've brought, and I think many of you were at the last meeting when I spoke about this, but the district initially had this project as one project. It was basically the water main replacement project from Sweetwater Creek to Colton Lane up by McDonald's. Well, when we went and did our bids, the bids came in higher than we anticipated, or actually, we knew there was a good chance that they would come in higher than the amount of money that we had already secured from the Public Works Trust Fund. And the dollars that were set aside through the Public Works Trust Fund were $2009. And, here it is 2015, and what happens to the price of construction and engineering and all the costs that are associated with a project like this. So anyway, we ended up, we realized right off the bat, as soon as the bids came in, the low bid was significantly higher than what we were going to be able to finance. So what we did is we split this project up into two phases. We started phase one through the contract with a contract addendum, went ahead, awarded the bid to Pacific Coast General LLC out of Port Orchard, and started the phase one project, which was from Sweetwater Creek to Romance Hill. 3,800 lineal feet of 12-inch ductile iron pipe with all of the appurtenances, hydrants and valves and any necessary air vacs, all new services, all new meters from the district's facility back to the main. And so that project, that first portion of the project, is funded by the Public Works Trust Fund, which is Department of Commerce of Washington State. And it's the main's in, all the services are in, the line is on. The main is switched on. The old line is not abandoned yet, but it's not in service. We're 98% done. There's some final, just final cleanup, punch list items, minor restoration. Most of the restoration is going to be done with the Department of Transportation's final project. So it was a $1.9 million loan and budget. It's still at $1.9 million. We had about 8% increase in costs due to change orders, which is pretty reasonable for a project of this magnitude. This was a tough one because, if, like Michelle mentioned, night work, well, probably 90% of this was night work. And I'll tell you what, night work is a bear cat. It's a lot harder, it's a lot more expensive. And so, anyway, phase one is basically done. So phase 2, we are about ready to give notice to proceed. But that phase 2 is going to be from Romance Hill Road to Colquitt Lane, and that will they'll probably start doing some saw cutting next week, possibly the week after, getting ready for some of the trench installation. That portion is going to be about 4,600 linear feet at 12-inch ductile with all the, the all new, everything's going to be new. So from Sweetwater Creek all the way to McDonald's is going to be on SR3, it'll all be new. This project is funded by USDA, which is, instead of being a state Department of Commerce Public Works Trust Fund, this is a USDA Department of Agriculture Rural Development loan, which is a significantly more administrative work working with the federal government than it is with Washington State. Although they have streamlined their process pretty well, but it's still still a lot of work and a lot of administrative work. This portion, what we've done is we secured 1.9 million. That should be 1.90, not 1.99. No, that's right. 1,990,000. So that's 1.99 million. And that's what our budget is, and that's the amount of money we secured. Hopefully we'll be able to complete the project within those financial limits. And if it goes like the first portion did, we'll be there. If we run into some unforeseen problem, which has been known to happen in these kind of projects, but we feel pretty comfortable about where we're at. So we're just about ready to start with the second part of this. So. And hopefully a lot of the traffic issues have been resolved. So
Frequently, USDA will give you a discount based on the median income. Did you check on that? Did you qualify?
We're in discussions with USDA now. There's somebody already used the term tonight, I can't remember that, where you have like a waiver for the amount of money you have to pay.
Loan forgiveness.
Loan forgiveness, right. And so we are in discussions with USDA on possibly doing that.
So
I know Greg brought up the issue of maybe getting grant money or like Commissioner Shelby was talking about the possibility of an appropriation or something like that. What we did is we put together a publication, just a one-pager about our project, and it's a hardship. It's a hardship to all of the ratepayers in our district to have to foot the cost of. We're talking about a water line that's going to serve a fairly small amount of people.
But you have 500 customers? How many customers do you have?
Yeah, 500.
What are your rates now?
The $73 a month for 300, that's the base rate per month, and that includes 350 cubic feet.
350 cubic feet is $73 a month.
Residential.
Does that
Residential.
translate into gallons?
About 7.5 gallons in 1 cubic foot. Yeah, Jack.
Now, you say you're gonna go to Copeland, and I'm assuming you're gonna go all the way up and then tie into where you stopped the main from that previous project, right? So is that already new all the way?
Right where Colquitt comes down and ties in, that's what we're going to tie into.
Yeah, so it'll all be new all the way from the tank, all the way down and through the town, because that was all new.
Yep.
So that's what I thought.
Tom, I wanted to ask, that's on the east side of SR3, right?
Yes.
It might, maybe you already have, but when the sewer project ran into the contaminated soil, after the fact, they did an inventory of where all the old service stations were, and I know Public Works has records of where those were, but it might benefit the contractor to find out where they are so they don't run into more of it. Because there's a number of service stations that were on the east side of the road. And where,
By the shortstop?
Who's Sandy?
What? I'm sorry?
Shortstop? Randy's shortstop?
oh no,
right
back down from there.
Back down?
Where the pizza place is, used to be a service station.
And then across the street.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
likely.
Rite Aid used to be Sandy Boat, and that was active.
Marina.
But I know the county had a consultant come out and meet with quite a few of the old timers in town and identify where those sites were. So I'm sure Public Works has it. But I sure pass that on to the contractor so we don't have the same thing happen that happened already.
Another good resource was Dave Bainan, because he was
that?
in, Dave Bainan, he was in litigation, and he had them all mapped. He'd be at litigation.
I got his number if you need it.
I believe that when we did the preliminary design, they received the contamination list. And I'm not sure where our engineer got it, but I know that they did go through that and they did look into it. But I'll follow up just to make sure that we have all the information that's available.
Any other questions for him?
I noticed just from observations when they were moving the water line and moving the fire hydrants to the new locations, that it's a shame of the timing involved, because the fire hydrant is within the 30 feet where the thing's got to get leveled up. Then they rebuilt the driveways, they put down a concrete curb along the driveways, and all that stuff that was ripped up as part of the repairs again. You know, the road light, that's all gonna go to waste.
Yeah,
That's bad timing.
it's
Not your fault.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Lord, did you?
What's the reason for extending on phase 2? Is it because of the construction cost? Is it because you want the water line replaced? It's old, or
Say that?
what was the reasoning behind having to do phase 2 at this particular time?
And we already got 3 lanes of road up there.
It's part of the widening project.
Past Romance Hill? Well, there's just only a certain small section of.
There's still sidewalks and.
Yeah, they're widening, they're putting in, it's part of the,
It's still under the state requirement.
Moving the water line out of the right.
From Romance Hill up to McDonald's, we're going to be putting in drainage through there. There's really a hodgepodge system of drainage in that area right now. There's already a lot of other utilities in the ground, and I know that your system, when CenturyLink came through, I don't think your system's in very good shape in that stretch either, because it seems to be leaking a lot, so there's probably a bunch of reasons that he needs.
well, that pipe is, it's 50, 60-year-old.
It's the original 66, 1966 or so pipe, isn't it?
And my second question is, then, since you raised it to 73 base from the 350 feet, do you anticipate another raise this next July because if we had to take out this second loan?
No. The plan right now is January of 2016, the rate for the water district, for water rates, will be an increase of 2% to accommodate for inflation. And hopefully, we'll be able to do a 2% per year, moving forward. But we've implemented the significant rate increases already, so hopefully we'll be able to stay at that level.
Yes.
Last comment for me, I just want to thank Tom for being the general manager of the water district. He is such a godsend to the water district in comparison to what we've had for as long as we've been in this town. So, Tom, kudos, I thank you very much.
Thank you, Randy, appreciate it.
Any other questions for him? Yes,
A general question. Now, I understand that the district has lowered its chlorine percentage, because I've never really liked the taste of the water. And so I didn't know if you could comment on if they've done anything different, or if we have a new main, if that's going to allow them to lower the chlorine content.
What we're doing, we've been very active in water quality. We have a couple of really good quality people that are working for us now and really pay attention on a day-to-day basis of how, what the ideal method for chlorination. And so what we're doing is we're monitoring very carefully, and we're using the least amount of chlorine that we possibly can and still complying with the state standards, which is 0.2 parts per million. And that 0.2 parts per million is a buffer, so that if you do get a contamination, then there's not going to be a lot of health risk, because any bacterial contamination will be taken care of by that 0.2. Whereas in the past, sometimes they get up to 3, 4, and before I started, I know that there were a lot of complaints about it being up around 1 part per million, which is way, way over the 0.2, what it should be. And we're trying now to keep it at 0.2, right at 0.2, because that is a state minimum.
Because in the businesses, it gets served in the coffee, it gets served on the table, it's for water. It gets
Absolutely,
And
I drink it.
yeah, well, I don't, but I'd like to be able to.
Well, let your faucet run for 30 seconds or so and try it. It's good.
Any further questions?
One more.
Yeah, go ahead. That's what this is for.
That's the only thing they add, right? They don't add.
That's all we
Fluoride.
have. That's all.
I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
Yeah, no fluoride
Yeah.
in Belfair water.
And you don't have iron issues here?
No.
Or not iron, but arsenic?
No. No, we don't. We're really lucky. It's good quality water. It comes from a distance.
All the companies look at the science, this quality of the water is so high. Thank you very much. Hopefully we get that back. Next up is, we have a quick briefing for the Sand Hill School Zone speed limit. We've had some people that have requested, we're looking at that speed zone going up Sand Hill Road, up by the park, because currently, well, I'll let.
Melissa McFadden, Mason County Engineer. Want to talk about the Sand Hill Road School Zone speed limit. So currently, the speed limit is set at 20 miles an hour, and as probably all of you know, 8 a.m. to 9:30 p.m., 7 days a week, 12 months of the year. So that's what it's set at right now, and that was set by resolution in 2006. So the reason that it was set that way, my best understanding, because I didn't work for the county in 2006, was that it was to protect park users and school users and folks who would be in the area, and to keep the speed of traffic slow so that there wouldn't be any major collisions. So we have a fairly low accident rate in the area, which thankfully is good to say. In researching this, I've talked with the parks folks and some of the user groups, Little League baseball folks, the principal of the school there. They're seeing it as a safety issue, and they've said, obviously you guys have the right to set it however you want it, but to them it feels like a good way to maintain a safe speed at all hours when children might be present in the area. So what we're hoping to do tonight, I've also spoken with Chief Ryan Sperling at the North Precinct of the Mason County Sheriff's Office, and he did indicate that there are actually a fairly high number of property crimes up in that area, and that having the speed limit set that way does allow for some speed enforcement, and also just checking in with folks, and they are able to keep an eye on property crime more closely that way. So yeah, so we were just hoping to kind of gather some input from folks in the area. I've spoken with one of Commissioner Netherland's cohorts who had concern about it. He said he didn't feel as though it was fair to have it set that way. So really curious to find out what folks in the community think. And yeah, so if you don't mind, if you would take public comment, that'd be great. Do people have any questions? Sorry. Go ahead, Jack.
Could I ask a question when we're all done with that conversation? Because I have a question for you that I think everybody else would be interested in as far as the county stuff. I could ask.
Sounds good.
Well, I don't know. Why don't you go ahead and ask it now? Might as well, she's already up here.
Okay.
Hit it.
In the Kitsap Son, there was an article about a high-friction roadways surfacing, and they got federal grant money for it, and they're testing it in 7 locations. I didn't know if Mason County had an opportunity for that as well.
I'm not sure what grant program it was. The federal government does have some funding that they make available for trying new technologies, so maybe something like that. Thurston County, I believe, was also doing a test section. So we typically, here recently, we've been pretty busy, so we haven't been on the forefront of things, but we do keep an eye on technologies that other people are using. So I'll talk with folks at COSAP and see if they have good feedback. Did you say they'd already put it in?
They're going to do it this summer, and it's going to be in 7 locations, and it's on the curves of the road where it gets scuffed off, and it's I just thought it was kind of interesting, so I just didn't know if Mason County was doing it.
Yeah, I'll talk with the county engineer there and see what he thinks about it.
I believe it was in either this weekend, Monday maybe?
It's in that road ranger, whatever that section is.
Road ranger guy.
Where somebody asked me a question.
Ranger
but-
section?
Yeah,
I have the section.
Anyway, I just was.
Yeah, no, I'll look into it.
Oh, the road warrior.
Yeah, road warrior.
The road warrior. You got it right. I'm thinking, who reads a publication called Road Ranger, right? Okay, yes.
I just wanted to comment on the Sand Hill Road, if I might.
Yeah, please.
But there, you know, there's a bit of history with that, and actually there's a culvert that you folks might be interested in.
The county has to do that, and we can't afford
One of those golden fleece things.
We did look into the culvert, and it's not currently ADA accessible,
Right.
and it doesn't actually really help where folks are trying to go from and to. I mean, it's
I understand it was a good idea at the
Yeah.
time, but since
And it's big enough for fish to do those.
yeah, if a person can walk through, the fish can do it.
Maybe.
But no, I own some property up just beyond Sand Hill. We actually abut the park at the north end, and we've had issues with everything from trespass to fire. And I like to have the speed limit slow, but one of my major concerns there is that the people that use the parks, they park right alongside the road and block the pedestrian signs. So it's just a matter of time before a little one or a family jogs out in front of the road. And if anything, if they could just enforce not blocking those signs so that people can see those pedestrian signs. I mean, the signs are there and the crosswalks are there, but there's so much traffic parked. There's a big parking lot right there. They could just park there, but they want to park right next to the field, I guess. And
That's where the smaller kids are at, on those fields.
yeah. And I go through there constantly, usually once or twice a day, and I like having the speed limit slow. I think it's really nice that it is what it is. And I've seen the state up there and the county pulling people over, and every once in a while I have to catch myself too and go, whoa. But it's a good thing.
One of the things that brought this up is several people have seen kittens there. And during times where, for example, during the winter, you're going through and it's dark. You did too? Well, so did our public works director. I just threw him under the bus. Oh, he got 2. Okay.
And the second one, he sped up a little bit before he got out of it.
And one of the things that have happened, according to what the way it's explained to me, is, for example, at 4:30 it can be dark at night. There's no kids there. They're going through or coming home at 5:30 or 6 in the evening, and they get pulled over for doing 5 miles or so over the speed limit, which puts them at 25 miles per hour. And they of course get mad. They're on their way home for rush hour. There's nobody around, but yet this particular zone is from 8 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. Regardless of whether any kids are present or anything like that. And so that's why they asked me, some of those people that got tickets asked me to bring that forward to consider shortening that down for when the children are present in some manner. Because even school districts have, that as a...
I can understand that, Greg. Excuse me, Greg. I can understand the situation, particularly when you have recreational ball fields on both sides of the roadway, as well as a school there. But Randy brings up a heck of a good point. And I know, I mean, I don't want the county running around changing signs from summer hours to winter
Right.
hours. However, one sign could answer, you could put that nomenclature on a sign that said, you know, such and such a date to such and such a date or something. Because you're absolutely right, there's no one up there in the winter time from 5 o'clock at night till, you know, why can't they go 35?
Isn't it interesting, though, that the discussion tonight started about burglary? And one of the points that the sheriff is making is that with a low speed limit, it gives the opportunity for the deputies to stop more individuals, just to check who they are, to look at their license. There's a tremendous amount of people here in this county that drive without a license. There are people that drive that are they are looking for. I can tell you that personally. They're looking for people, and it does. If you're thinking of crime prevention, a lower speed limit probably gives you an opportunity. Your sheriff's an opportunity to have a closer watch on people that are speeding.
Now, I don't have a dog in this race, but I gotta
Yeah.
tell you, the more we talk about this, though, I actually see it completely different, because what I'm hearing is a speed trap. That's what I'm hearing. In my head, I'm hearing speed trap, and I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, is that what I'm doing to my citizens? Am I literally saying it's okay to do this to them so they can get pulled over more and get a ticket more often? And
No, I didn't say that you would get a ticket more often. I said that the sheriff said that with a lower speed limit, deputies have more opportunity for contact with the citizens.
Okay.
I didn't say write a ticket.
No, I just I hadn't looked at it quite from that, but the more we talked about it, the more it made me nervous, so. Yes.
One other thing on there is 20 miles an hour is pretty low. You know, I think maybe we should look at putting flashing signs on when flashing. So in the wintertime, you can adjust it to different hours, not 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, and another thing that I've seen, in talking to Melissa, it may not be, one of the questions is it enforceable? Because a simple sign that says when children are present, but then comes the question, is it enforceable? What actually,
Yeah, if they have children down on fields 1 and 2 that are way down off the road, a driver might not see them and might not know that they're there. Or there could be a choir or band concert or a basketball game in the middle of winter where folks are parking in the parking lot for the park, which is on the same side of the road, but there could be people running around in the area. So there are just a lot of things that swirl around about enforcement. And we did discuss the flashing signs. Somebody has to be responsible to turn those on and off. The school doesn't have very many walkers that go to and from, that walk to and from school. They don't really have an issue with it. So I think they would rather not take on that responsibility. So I mean, there are a lot of issues. I'd love to hear your ideas though, and if you've got, something we haven't looked at.
Ken first, and then Rob?
I just wanted to talk about the amount of brush theft that goes on up there. There's a tremendous amount of brush theft. My wife jogs that road sometimes quite early in the morning to quite often at night, and they drop brush pickers off, and they don't pick them up until after it gets dark. And I've pulled into my driveway before and found them throwing bales of brush into their trucks, and then they take off. So I'm all about keeping that at 20 miles an hour, giving law enforcement an opportunity if they see some sort of suspicious rig, and an opportunity to pull them over. If any one of you walk through any of that state property up there, the ground is stripped of brush. There's no brush left. And they don't have permits.
I guess, is that a school zone or is that merely a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit? Because that makes a tremendous difference.
Okay,
As to what, and I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah,
I
no.
get there once a year if I can't get into any other way. So I really don't know, but if it is a school zone, that's a whole different story.
Well, and we can
Because
get
that's a
in.
$300 ticket.
We can get
Once
into
that,
the
you can't get
details.
out.
So currently the law says that if it's a school zone,
Uh-huh.
that it can only extend 200 feet beyond the school
Okay.
property. Right now, it's set as a school zone, but it's set for a quarter of a mile beyond the school's property. So it's a little ways further in order to encompass the park. The board, though, has the opportunity, if, after all the discussion that we have, if their engineer makes the recommendation that we should sign it 20 miles an hour, and if they agree, they have the option, absolutely, as a congested area to sign it at 20 miles an hour.
But as a school zone or as a 20
As a
mile an hour?
congested area,
That's a
yeah,
different
as
thing,
a, as a
right?
20
Two
mile an
miles
hour, as a 20 mile an hour speed limit through
there.
there.
Speed limit,
Yeah.
not school zone,
Exactly.
which is a very
But
different
the
thing.
school zone will be within
Understand.
where
Yeah,
the school
yeah, I
property
got it.
is.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right, I was just curious. I don't know.
Wow, good idea.
I'm well aware of what the speed limit is up there. But I paid for it twice. Well, I'm not against the speed limit being reduced. I think 20 is very good. The problem is that the topography of the road is difficult when you're climbing up the hill at speed. And before you literally have any view of the school, and you haven't noticed the speed signs like your mind about going to the or whatever, you're in that zone and you're speeding. It's very difficult as you're climbing the hill. If there was a better way of warning people as a reminder, because what happens is it does turn it is a speed trap to a certain extent. And I think the Washington State Patrol has done
And it
quite
was
well
a
up
state
there.
patrol both times, and let me tell you, this is a man that's always 10 under on the freeway. I'm saying, you gotta keep going, or you're gonna get rear-ended. Never got a ticket.
In the
Got two
left-hand
of them.
lane?
Yeah, good idea.
Yes.
That's a good idea.
I don't think the officers need a reason to pull anyone over. That's me. Meaning,
They can
it's
find
not
out
about the
that
speed
was-
limit. If it's, they don't look right, they can pull them over.
They need probable cause.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
I like Turb's idea, flashing light.
I like the idea of flashing lights too, and then making it clear to folks that whether it's, that it's not necessarily because it's a school zone, but because of a congested area, and children present. I mean, I think that we need to differentiate between those two somehow. But I don't like the idea, frankly, of having a sign that has the dates. I mean, who can read all that?
When you're going too fast, how can you read all
What about these solar lights that have the speed limit to remind you to slow down? They're solar operated, nobody changes the
Well,
signs.
and, you know, these days, though, guys, I have 4 of them in my garden now. You just set a timer and let it go. You know, it's the power that goes to it. I buy it at Walmart. Yes.
One more suggestion is as far as put it on a timer, which you can program in advance, so that's no muss and fuss. And then when you have a special event, put a station at the beverage stand there, that little building that they have on the park, where they can change it when there's an event going on. You know, an unexpected event that the timer doesn't cover, that they have an override for.
I don't know if we want to give a park attendant, or what do we call them, steward? Because we have them up there, the responsibility of doing
Host.
that, host.
Park host.
But at the same time, one thing I do want to point out is, not that, you know, okay, I'm a cheapskate. It costs money to do all that, but even more than that, I don't, considering there's no power there now, you also have to run power to it, I'm sure, and everything else. Just,
Why don't we have
oh,
staff,
that's true, batteries.
why don't we have staff come back to us with some ideas?
Well, and that's what we're doing now, is just giving input. We're not voting on nothing, just so that Melissa can have some input from us on where we sit on it.
And we've been reviewing the manual on uniform traffic control devices. That's the document that governs standard configurations for signs, and trying to figure out if there's something in there to help us. Yeah, because I'm not sure that there is currently an MUTCD recognized standard for a variable speed for a congested area, so that you could change it back and forth. I'm not sure that that exists. So yeah, we can definitely do some
Sunny Slope has
research.
it.
I'm sorry?
Sunny Slope has it, only when flashing. And I'm not too sure, but I think there might be
But
solar.
that's for the school zone.
Well, and that is the thing
Yeah.
about it, though, irregardless, I'm just thinking right now, so you establish a school zone's set up in a certain manner, they're still gonna go slow for that extra so many feet, because they don't know where the school zone ends, or where it begins. But that's just talk right now, it's just something to think about. Any other comments from Melissa? Yes.
One thing I don't know, Melissa, if you know, but the school district traded the property across from the Sand Hill School to the county. So that's a county, I think it's in your capital facilities plan at some point to upgrade that property. And who knows what, but that might, looking out a few years in advance, it might be beneficial to keep that speed. Consider, I think it's a 10 or 15 acre parcel. That was traded to the county for the Blair property over here where the new school is being built.
Is there any other comments for Melissa? Oh, wow, okay. You know what's interesting is, I had actually thought this wasn't even gonna get a comment, maybe one or two. Let's just show you how much we know, huh?
I
Yes.
just want to say, like, when you're going over the hill and your head is downhill, I think that sign should, the speed limit should go up as soon as possible, like once you pass the entrance into the school, because as you're going downhill, you have to put your brakes on to decelerate, and then that would, you're really past the school and you're past all the park and all that. That's my own.
I saw two hands. Yes.
That's mine, essentially the same thing as that. The fact that you have that hill there really needs to be brought into consideration, because when you're going up it, you run at it a little harder to get up, and going down, like he says, you have to brake. I think we need to adjust the start of the zone to try to accommodate the fact that we have that hill there. Like if you're coming up, it's a lot easier to stop when you're going uphill than it is, you know, if somebody shows up on the sideways or on the sidewalk.
I gotta ask, what about the idea of it being 8 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night? Does that?
No one up there except the state patrol.
Okay, any other comments or anything from Melissa? Thank you, Melissa, for bringing that in. Commissioners, do you have anything else you'd like to discuss tonight before we adjourn?
That's why I don't know why State Patrol's on Sand Hill Road.
Well, because it's a speed trap. I didn't know that until today, but.
These warnings, you've seen the sign, speed limit 35, and it says you're going 37, and it's solar. Those would be really effective rather than, people fix it all day, whatever day they choose to go do it.
I think Melissa can make a special sign, Bob, slow down.
Yes.
I just have one comment. I hope that we meet up here again. The fifth Tuesdays aren't very frequently, but I hope when we meet up here again, we've got a Belfair bypass funded, and we're working
Amen, brother.
towards how we're going to do that. So talk to your House members. We have it in our Senate budget, so.
I'm going to take advantage of something on this. We may battle, stuff like that, but I'm going to tell you right now. Tim stood tall on that Belfair bypass, and not only did he stand tall on it, he negotiated it all the way through on this and put out some letters to individuals in order to get their support that normally wouldn't have. We all tried to work together, but I'll tell you right now, if Tim hadn't done what he had done this time in negotiating and playing poker, I don't think we'd have gotten it. As far as I know,
We aren't there yet.
no, we're not. Well, we've got it in the House twice before. Never had it in the Senate. So
Well,
I
2005.
got to give you a
Yeah,
big
it's
pat
in
on the back.
2005,
But please, call your representatives. It's in their court right now. If they say yes, we have a really good chance of getting it, because, you know, the positions that they hold and the party they hold, it's a real hard thing for them to do. They need to know that you've got their back, and to explain it to them. There's some great things that are also in the package that they put forward, a lot more than just the bypass. Some of the things that they put forward when it comes to not using the tax on the construction and taxing ourselves over and over again, but actually taking that out for further construction and stuff. Some great things that came out of that. I just hope that we contact our representatives, let them know we have their back and we understand that it's a good package, but more than that, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Everything else, and this might just be just the amount. And I hate taxes, but it is what it is. It's.
I have their numbers. I have their cell numbers.
And he will give you their cell numbers. Yep.
Tonight.
Yes.
Just a curiosity, Tom, Tim was mentioning fifth Tuesday, but the next meeting, did I understand you correctly, in 2 weeks we're having?
No, in a few short weeks. We have not scheduled that meeting yet to specifically ask for your input on a long-term financing plan for the Belfair sewer system. We have not set a date for that, but we will try as hard as we can to get the word out in as many venues.
I heard something about a couple of weeks, and I go home and tell my wife what I hear. I find it's completely different than what really was said, so I just was terrified.
Anything meeting is after the bypass is built.
Anything further? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move we adjourn, Mr. President.
I'll second.
We're adjourned. Thank you for coming.
Good.
Well,